After quantum leap in ease of doing business, another boost for the Narendra Modi government. US-based Moody's today upgraded India's credit rating after a gap of 13 years. India's sovereign rating was upgraded to Baa2 with a stable outlook, citing improved growth prospects driven by economic and institutional reforms like GST and Notepad. The rating upgrade comes after a gap of 13 long years. Moody's had last upgraded India's rating to Ba3 in 2004. In 2015, the rating outlook was changed to positive from stable. This rating, the Ba3 rating, was the lowest investment grade, just a notch above junk status. The news perked up sentiments at the stock market, which has witnessed a major rally. The Prime Minister's office and the BJP claim that enhanced ratings are a vindication of the government's policy and fiscal reforms. India Today's Rajiv Dubey now joins us on the broadcast. Managing Editor, Business Today, Rajiv Dubey with me on this. And Rajiv Dubey, how do you look at this? The government, of course, claiming credit for the economic reform. How do you see this?
Yeah, Gaurav, clearly acknowledgement of the reforms that are going on in the country, especially the GST, and to some extent the government's initiatives in ensuring that the banks which are under, have these 11-12 lakh crore of stressed assets, that cleanup happens, and this is an acknowledgement of all of these initiatives. What this means for the country is that the bonds that will be issued can be issued at much better rates of interest. Earlier, if somebody was issuing bonds, they had to pay higher rate. Now the bonds can be issued at a much lower rate of interest.
Okay. Now, the investor service raising our ratings. They're looking at the economic and institutional reforms. They're crediting the government and they're looking forward to the future. So what is it that the government is doing right and needs to continue doing? Because, the opposition hits out at the government saying, where are the jobs? Demonetization killed the economy. The unorganized sector is down. But the ratings tell us a different story.
In some ways, it is also a reflection of all the kicking and screaming that the government has been doing against the rating agencies, saying that, you are not acknowledging what we are up to. And we still have to see, there are three big rating agencies. This is Moody's rating that has come out. There is S&P and there is Fitch. The three of them, if all of them do come up with a higher rating for India, that is what the government would probably be looking at in the long term. As far as the jobs and the economic scenario in the country is concerned, it remains an issue of concern. Because jobs are still, you can see the telecom job losses. We know the informal sector job losses. We know for sure that jobs are not being created in the economy at the rate at which they are required. And then, of course, the whole GDP issue, where the finance minister yesterday acknowledged in Singapore, I think, that in the Morgan Stanley Investor Conference, that India may not be able to, meet the fiscal deficit target, which essentially means that there's going to be higher inflation, the government will have to borrow more. And he also said that there is no option of cutting government spending, which basically means that private spending has come to a standstill.
Okay.
So all of these mean that our export competitiveness, if we do meet the fiscal deficit target, our export competitiveness will go down, our inflation will rise, and there's going to be, impact of all of these on the jobs and the economy as a whole.
Okay. I also have with me our National Affairs Editor, Rahul Srivastav, and BJP spokesperson, GVL Narasimha Rao. GVL, to you first, a shot in the arm after 13 long years, ratings improved, the problems persist, sir.
I think it's a huge boost for Indian economy. This is a reaffirmation of the faith of the international agencies, which actually have a very credible way of measuring India's competitiveness, India's stability, India's performance as a stable economy, because it has taken 13 long years for us to improve our rating. So no one can possibly doubt agencies like the Standard & Poor, Moody's, it takes a long while to really get an upgrade. And this happens at a time when China has actually slipped one position from its erstwhile ranking. While there have always been questions about the rankings being a little unfavorable to developing emerging economies like India, but every transition, every upgrade comes with a large amount of economic improvement in your overall performance. And after this World Bank Ease of Doing Business ranking, where India has actually pushed 30 positions in just 1 year, yes. I think this improvement in rating is certainly a further affirmation of the international recognition, the world recognition of the manner in which the Indian economy is galloping forward. I think it's a great news, and this will further improve in the next 12 months, because the GST possibly has not been factored into even these calculations. So when the World Ease of Doing Business rankings improve next year, I think the rating will further go up. Okay. So what has not been possible during 10 years of the UPA, Prime Minister Modi has been able to deliver in less than 4 years.
Okay, you're taking a political potshot here, G.V.L. Narasimha Rao. And G.V.L. Narasimha Rao, that's where the problem remains, as as Arvind Subramaniam was also pointing out, and before that, my colleague Rajiv Dubey, jobs remain a major problem, G.V.L. Narasimha Rao.
No, I think, Gaurav, in this country, we have never had a very credible way of measuring the employment growth. And a lot of news that you have seen over the past few weeks, where people have done their own crude estimates of employment loss, have actually been have not been even reliable estimates. While the formal sector employment has been generated, and the best acknowledgement of that comes from the manner in which EPFO registrations have enhanced by several crore, the informal sector actually has received a big boost. And the manner in which we have offered nearly 8 crore people Mudra loans has actually been an effort to really enhance the employment potential in the unorganized sector. So Narendra Modi's government had been focusing both on the organized and unorganized sectors, and one can really see the impact of this happening on the ground. There has been political talk. There have been naysayers who have been trying to spread words of gloom. But I would like to now get a press conference from P. Chidambaram to comment about why the whole world is recognizing India as a bright spot, India marching towards a greater economic glory, while the Congress party has been indulging in this kind of politics of pessimism and politics of gloom. Okay, so
stay with me. Let me get Rajiv Dubey, my colleague, to respond to that on this. Rajiv, are we actually marching to a new economic dawn, as G.V.L. Narasimha Rao tells us, because job losses, unorganized sector issues, they perhaps remain the government's Achilles heel?
Yeah, and the other thing is that if we are not going to meet the fiscal deficit target, only two things can happen. Either the government can borrow more, and which, creates more inflation and it creates export competitiveness, or we are going to be, higher taxes would be imposed across the board. So there is only two ways in which fiscal deficit can be tackled. Either the government raises more resources, or it imposes more taxes. Okay. So this is what we have to brace up for, in case fiscal deficit continues to rise, as the finance minister has hinted at in the Moody's, in the Morgan Stanley conference. That's what we need to be careful about.
Rajiv, stay with me for a moment. Rahul Srivastav, for the political perspective on this big story, Rahul Srivastav, what does this mean for the Narendra Modi government as it goes into elections in Gujarat?
Gaurav, as soon as a news like this comes, like this is the second one in a fortnight or so, the first one was the Ease of Doing Business report, in which India's ranking moved up by 30 steps compared to last year. Now, every time you have a news like this, you have two kinds of responses. One is from my old friend, Mr. G.V.L. Narasimha Rao, saying that this is a great achievement. The naysayers and all the others should actually now watch what the world is saying. The other side of the story is perpetually a doom story in which it is said that all is over. Now, the crisis, Gaurav, here is that one is a political impact, the other is an economic one. The economic side of the story is that, as Rajiv was also saying, that there is a tough challenge. But the private investment not coming is now perhaps becoming an old story. The government has already started moving beyond that into a realm in which it is a given that the public sector will be spending more, that is, the government will be spending more. And the government sources, top sources, when I spoke to them in the morning, they are saying that we will try to create broad shoulders within the system to actually brace for this kind of element. But definitely, politically, it is significant. Remember, today in the Moody's report, one of the most significant reasons why the upgrade has been created by Moody's is the GST, which was called the Gabbar Singh tax by Rahul Gandhi during the run-up to the Gujarat elections. Now, at a time when Rahul Gandhi is calling it an extortive kind of a tax, which is full of confusion and complexities, Moody is saying that this is perhaps one good measure in a series of measures which are yet to come, is perhaps definitely a political boost for the government. And definitely it does lead to a positive sentiment in the country that the Sensex and other markets have started with a slightly buoyant note. That buoyancy needs to be sustained, and that sustaining perhaps will create elements which will help the economy to truly move forward beyond slightly politically scoring points.
Okay. For the moment, Rahul Srivastav, Rajiv Dubey and Jeeval Narasimha Rao, many thanks for joining me.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.